I want you to feel the gravity of this very moment, your heartbeat echoing in perfect sync with the pulse of the universe. Imagine standing on the rim of a dormant volcano at dawn. The air shimmers with possibility. Below, the valley curls like a sleeping serpent, its breath rising in gentle mist. Above, the sky blushes with promise. In this sacred instant, all of time converges. The lessons of ancient sages, the breakthroughs of modern visionaries, and the dormant potential that lives in your own chest. You've heard whispers in the dark late night doubts, that prattle of mischances, futures slipping through your fingers like grains of sand. But now, the sun's first edge splits the horizon, and it asks, will you remain frozen in hesitation, or will you step forward into the wildfire of your own becoming? The life you want won't wait forever. These words aren't a quaint platitude. They're a summons stamped into the fabric of reality. Countless souls before you heard this call and answered it with deeds that reshaped history. Think of Thomas Edison, bent over a cluttered workbench in Menlo Park, surrounded by empty glass tubes and tangled filaments. Each failure glowed with the promise of discovery. He didn't wait for permission from Fateh, forged his own destiny through 0 experiments, each one chiseling away at the darkness until light remained. Or recall Abraham Lincoln, poring over law books by the dim glow of a single candle, sketching arguments that would one day free millions. His landscape was fraught with division, his nation fractured, yet he refused the allure of retreat. Instead, he leaned into the storm, crafting words that stitched together a union and redefined the meaning of freedom. And then there's Henry Ford, standing amid the clatter of horse-drawn carriages in Detroit, daring to envision a world where every family drove their own automobile. His contemporaries scoffed at his dreams, famously predicting that the average American would never own more than a dozen cars in a lifetime. But Ford saw what others could not, that mass production, fueled by ingenuity and shared purpose, could democratize mobility. His assembly line roared into motion on June 1, 1913, and the world never looked back. These giants teach us that life's grand tapestry is woven not by passive observers, but by those who seize the thread and pull it through their fingers. They remind us that now is the only currency we possess. Tomorrow remains unwritten, and yesterday is forever sealed. The science of seizing the moment. Perhaps you wonder, why is the present so critical? Neuroscience offers an answer. Our brains are designed for immediate response. The prefrontal cortex at executive center favors short-term rewards. If you delay action, you risk slipping into the later trap where motivation dissolves and inertia takes over. Studies show that when individuals commit to action within the next hour, they're over 80% more likely to follow through than those who defer to sometime today or this week. Delay is the silent assassin of dreams. Yet ancient wisdom has long honored the power of the present. In Yoga Sutras, Patanjali declares that true liberation arises when we abide fully in Shashtakarmas, the 6 practices of cleansing mind and body in the moment. Zen masters call it Zanshin, a continuous, uncluttered awareness of the here and now. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, reminds us in Meditations that time is a river, a violent current of events, glimpsed once and already carried past us. When Edison sparked the first bulb on December 31, 1879, he stood as living proof that the collision of persistent action and unwavering presence can illuminate an entire culture. His achievement wasn't a one-off marvel. It was the fruit of deliberate, moment-by-moment choices to learn, to adapt, to persist. You're called to leap. Picture your own life as a vessel drifting at sea. The winds of opportunity swirl around you, some gentle breeze, some fierce gale. Will you unfurl your sails and trust the air? Or keep the canvas furled and cling to the mast of comfort? The moment to choose your course is now, not tomorrow. Not after you feel ready. This is readiness. Close your eyes and feel the weight of your breathing. Each inhale brings potential. Each exhale releases the past. Sense the tension in your shoulders a silent protest against change. Let it melt as you acknowledge you don't have to be perfect to start. Imperfection is the crucible in which greatness is forged. Recall a moment of fierce clarity, a time when your heart surged and you knew without doubt what you must do. That spark still lives within you. Its ember awaits a breath of courage to flare into flame. Awakening the wisdom of legends, imagine tapping into the collective brilliance of those who forged new realms of possibility. Carnegie's generosity, 1880s. As steel rails snaked across America, Andrew Carnegie realized that true wealth isn't measured in dollars, but in the lives uplifted. He poured his fortune into two 509 libraries, believing that knowledge widens human possibility. Disney's wonder, 1928. With only a handful of cents and a sketch pad, Walt Disney cemented his place in history by breathing life into a simple mouse. He built an empire of dreams on the conviction that joy could drive progress. Lincoln's conviction, 1863, taking to the podium at Gettysburg, Abraham Lincoln distilled a nation's grief into 6 sentences of unyielding hope. His words transcended the battleground, binding a fractured people with the promise of a new birth of freedom. These stories aren't relics, they are living instructions. Their timelines, 1840s through the 20th century, are suffused with the same present moment urgency that beats in your chest right now. The elements of an unstoppable present. To awaken your own moment of power, integrate these core practices. 1. Radical attention. Turn off notifications. Let the world's buzz fade so you can hear the cadence of your own purpose. Commit to blocks of undistracted focus, 50 minutes on one mission, followed by a 10-minute walk in silence. In that clarity, you'll glimpse the next right step. 2. Immediate action. Identify the smallest action you can take within the next 5 minutes toward your most important goal. Write the first sentence of your manifesto. Send that introductory message. Sketch the outline of your vision. Let momentum cascade from that tiny ripple. 3. Accountability ritual. Declare your intention aloud to someone you trust or post it publicly with a timestamp. When Edison patented his first invention on January 27, 1878, he did so under the gaze of skeptics who expected failure. Their doubt became fuel for his fire. Let the eyes of your circle sharpen your resolve. 4. Presence practice. Throughout your day, anchor your attention to the one thing under your control. This breath, this thought, this action. When your mind wanders to regrets or worries, gently guide it back. Over time, these micro practices of presence become your strongest ally. 5. Reflect and accelerate. At day's end, ask 2 questions. What did I seize today? And what slipped through my fingers? Celebrate every victory, no matter how small, and learn from every glance of hesitation. This ritual turns experience into expertise and readies you for tomorrow's dawn. Awakening is a continuous fire. Your transformation begins not with grand gestures, but with these repeated sparks of intention. As you refine the art of living fully in the present, you'll notice life accelerating toward you. Doors you never knew existed will open. Solutions will crystallize in the crucible of focused attention. You'll become a magnet for the very possibilities you thought beyond reach. Right now, stand with me on this cliff, toes curled over the edge of the known. Feel the wind urging your body forward. Feel the ancient promise coursing through your veins. You were born for this. The world awaits your unique gifts, your singular vision, your pulse of purpose. Leap. And in that leap, you join the ranks of Edison, Lincoln, Ford, Carnegie, Disney, and every soul who refused to wait for life to arrive. You carve your own path, illuminated by the relentless glow of presence. This is your awakening, your moment, your birthright. Feel your feet planted firmly on the ground. Take a deep breath. Inhale possibility, exhale doubt. This simple act, this choice to bring attention inward is the first stroke in the masterpiece of your mindset. For mindset, is not a fluffy cliche. It is the invisible architecture that shapes every experience, every decision, every milestone you achieve. When you gaze upon a mountain, it stands immovable yet without the mind to see a path. To imagine scaling its peak, it remains insurmountable. Mindset is that mind, the lens through which you perceive obstacles as walls or as stepping stones. It is the spark that transforms a random thought into a revolutionary idea. The neuroscience of belief. Modern brain science confirms what ancient sages knew intuitively: our minds are malleable. Neurons fire in concert, building circuits that become our default patterns of thought. Each time you entertain a negative thought, I'm not enough, I can't do this, you strengthen that pathway, making doubt more likely to spring to life next time. Conversely, when you choose an empowering thought, I'm learning, I'm capable of more than I know, you carve new channels of possibility. Over time, these small choices accumulate, transforming your mental landscape from a barren plain of self-limitation into a flourishing garden of potential. Edison's unshakable curiosity. Remember Thomas Edison at his bench, late into the night, eyes bright with wonder. He didn't just tinker, he questioned every assumption. Why does this filament burn out? He would ask. What happens if I change this variable? His mindset wasn't bound by the fear of failure, it thrived on curiosity. Edison understood that the journey of invention was paved with experiments, each failure a lesson encoded in molecular detail. His resilience sprang from a mindset that regarded every setback not as defeat, but as data. The daily practices that sculpt your mind to cultivate this powerhouse of perspective, integrate these 5 rituals into your life. 1, morning mindset moment. Before the world impinges on your senses, spend 3 minutes in conscious intention. Close your eyes and affirm, today, I choose to see challenges as opportunities. Today, I embrace growth. Let these words echo in your mind like a drumbeat, anchoring your focus before distraction floods in. 2, narrator interrogation. Notice the voice in your head that narrates your life. Identify recurring domesticity, self-doubt, worry. Then, challenge that narrator. Is this voice factual or is it reacting out of fear? What evidence contradicts its claim? By treating your inner monologue as hypothesis rather than gospel, you reclaim the power to rewrite your script. 3, mindful micro pauses. Set a timer for every 90 minutes. When it chimes, pause for 30 seconds. Take 3 deep breaths, intentionally shifting your thoughts from stress to strategy. Remind yourself of one recent win, no matter how small, and sense gratitude for the lesson it taught. These micro resets break the cycle of rumination and keep your mind primed for proactive thinking. 4, reframing ritual. Whenever you catch yourself in a negative spiral, apply the and yet technique. For example, I missed my target goal this week, and yet this teaches me which systems need improvement. By appending and yet, you transform crippling judgments into constructive reframes, training your brain to seek growth rather than dwell on failure. 5, evening expansion. At day's end, journal for 5 minutes on one moment where your mindset shifted a time you chose, courage over fear, curiosity over complaint. Describe how that choice altered your experience. This practice strengthens the neural pathways of intentional thought retrospectively, reinforcing the habit of conscious mindset cultivation. Napoleon Hill's Legacy of Belief. In Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill distilled decades of research into the secret of wealth and fulfillment, a burning desire and unwavering belief. He chronicled stories of men and women who, defying every limitation, manifested fortunes and innovations. Hill taught that desire fuels purpose, but belief channels that fuel into the engine of creation. Without belief, even the most passionate desire sputters. But when you couple longing with belief, your mind vibrates with expectancy, drawing resources, ideas, and allies toward you. Shifting from fixed to growth. Dr. Carol Dweck's landmark research on fixed versus growth mindsets reveals the profound difference between believing your abilities are innate, fixed, and believing they can be developed, growth. People with a fixed mindset shy away from challenges, seeing effort as fruitless if they lack natural talent. Those with a growth mindset embrace challenges, viewing effort as the path to mastery. You are not born with a mindset, you build it brick by brick, thought by thought. Your mindset is the invisible mentor. Picture an invisible mentor standing beside you, whispering guidance at every turn. That mentor is your mindset. When you train it to speak words of possibility, resilience, and curiosity, it becomes your fiercest ally. When you allow it to fall into patterns of fear, doubt, and skepticism, it becomes your greatest saboteur. Imagine the next chapter of your life as a ship setting sail. The winds of opportunity may blow, but only a ship with a clear compass can chart a purposeful course. Your mindset is that compass. Without a North Star, you drift. With one, every breeze carries you closer to your destination. Anchoring your mindset and purpose. Mindset without purpose is like a kite without a tether, beautiful for a moment, but soon it flutters aimlessly. Anchor your mindset to your why. Remind yourself each morning, I create because my voice matters. I lead because my vision can uplift others. This alignment injects your mindset with the fuel of passion, ensuring it remains steadfast when storms arise. The compound effect of small choices. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, shows us how tiny changes 1% improvements compound into remarkable results over time. When you choose an empowering thought instead of a limiting one just once, you set in motion a cascade of beneficial behaviors. Over weeks and months, those behaviors accumulate, reshaping not just your mind, but your reality, overcoming the mindset roadblocks. Even the most dedicated practitioners encounter potholes, old self-limiting beliefs resurfacing, fatigue dimming your resolve, setbacks tempting you back into familiar thinking. When you hit these roadblocks, use the anchor shift advanced method. Anchor in a moment of presence is top. Breathe and ground yourself. Shift by recalling a core belief that empowers you. Speak it aloud. Advance with one concrete action that embodies that belief, a page of writing, a call, a mindful pause. This triad interrupts the cycle of negative thought and redirects your momentum toward growth. Mindset as a collective force. Your mindset ripples outward. The way you think and speak shapes the energy you bring into every interaction. Leaders with a growth mindset inspire teams to innovate. Parents who model mindful reframing teach resilience to their children. Surround yourself with those who cultivate possibility, seek out mentors, join mastermind groups, listen to podcasts that challenge your assumptions. Just as Edison curated a team of tinkerers at Menlo Park, curate your circle to include those whose mindsets uplift and expand your own. The lifelong journey of mindset mastery. Mindset is not a goal you finish, but a practice you inhabit. Like meditation, it deepens over time. There will be days when doubt presses in like a storm, others when clarity shines like the sun. Your task is not to eliminate storms, but to learn how to dance in the rain. Each choice you make, every morning intention, every reframing ritual, every moment of curiosity builds the neural architecture of possibility. Over months and years, you'll look back and see not just a transformation of circumstance, but a metamorphosis of self. Your next moment, right now, take one last deep inhale. As you exhale, let go of any lingering doubts. Feel your mind align with the principles you've claimed today. Sense the energy of Edison's workshop, Lincoln's study, Ford's factory humming through your veins. In the next section, we will shatter the beliefs that bind us and harness the transformative power of conviction. But for now, stand tall. You have recast your mindset into a forge of potential, and from here, there is no limit to what you can create. I want you to imagine standing in that ancient forge once more, the heat intense enough to make steel glow. Around you, the air trembles with possibility, every spark a token of transformation. The metal before you is raw, your life's potential, but unshaped. It remains inert. It's your beliefs, the molten core of your convictions, that determine whether you craft a humble plow or an unstoppable sword. Beliefs are not mere ideas fluttering through your mind. They are the deep currents that carve the canyons of your experience. They tell you what you can become, what you deserve, and what is possible. When Henry Ford, working in a Detroit machine shop, declared that the common person would one day own a car, he didn't simply voice an opinion. He planted a seed of conviction that reshaped manufacturing, urban design, and human mobility. His belief became the blueprint of a new world. The anatomy of a belief. Neuroscience now shows that beliefs form through repeated neural activations. Thought patterns you entertain again and again become automatic filters through which you perceive reality. If you believe, I am not artistic, every blank canvas feels intimidating. If you believe, my voice matters, every microphone becomes a platform for impact. Beliefs live in the hidden chambers of your subconscious, often inherited from childhood echoes. Be careful, warns a well-meaning parent. Don't be too bold, chides a teacher. These early scripts become default program silent governors that regulate your ambitions, relationships, and self-worth. And yet, like any program, they can be rewritten. The crucible of examination, to reshape your beliefs, you must first subject them to fire. Begin by listing the 2 or 3 convictions that most limit you. Perhaps you hear in your mind, I don't deserve success. I'm not smart enough. I'll fail if I try something new. Write each belief on its own line, then ask 3 penetrating questions. 1. What evidence supports this belief? List concrete moments. 2. What evidence contradicts it? Recall successes and strengths. 3. What would happen if I chose a different belief? When Thomas Edison faced each filament rupture, he saw proof that his glass simply wasn't good enough. Yet he also had journals filled with experiments that came tantalizingly close. By interrogating his own assumptions, he reframed failure into the data that guided his next breakthrough. You can do the same. Reforging the core. Once you've exposed the raw iron of limiting scripts, it's time to pour fresh alloy. Choose an empowering belief that directly counters the old one. Replace I don't deserve success with I am worthy of every blessing I create. Replace I'm not smart enough with my mind grows sharper through every challenge. Replace I'll fail if I try with every attempt expands my mastery. Feel the heat of these new convictions as you speak them aloud again and again until they glow. In the forge of your mind, repetition tempers resolve. Rituals to temper your beliefs. Beliefs, once forged, must be tempered with daily practice or they cool and crack. Integrate these 5 rituals into your life. 1. Morning affirmation immersion. Before distraction arrives, stand before your reflection. With unwavering eye contact, declare your new beliefs in present tense active statements. I am a creator of impact. I welcome challenges as fuel. Repeat each with intensity until you feel the vibration in your chest. 2. Evidence harvesting. Throughout your day, carry a small notebook or a note in your phone titled Proof Positive. Each time your new belief proves true, jot down the moment, a client compliment, a sparked idea, a moment you persisted despite fear. Over time, this journal swells into an arsenal of indisputable evidence. 3. Belief blockbuster. Once per week, schedule a belief blockbuster session. In solitude, revisit your limiting beliefs and your empowering replacements. Meditate on each. Visualize living fully in that new belief, feeling its emotions, witnessing its outcomes. Let this immersive rehearsal fortify your subconscious. 4. Community crucible. Gather with a trusted circle, friends, mastermind partners, mentors, and share one limiting belief you're working to change. Ask for their observations of how you already embody the new belief. Their external lens will reveal progress you might overlook and keep you accountable to your transformation. 5. Challenge your beliefs boldly. Choose one small fear derived from an old belief: public speaking, cold outreach, sharing a vulnerable story, and lean into it. Each act of courageous confrontation chips away the old grooves in your mind and stamps in new patterns of possibility. From Ford's vision to your conviction. When Henry Ford first crafted his quadricycle in 1896, he faced skepticism from onlookers who thought carriages were the only reliable transport. Yet his conviction that mechanized, affordable mobility could transform society drove him to refine his prototypes, establish the moving assembly line, and ultimately democratize the automobile. Your own convictions carry that same potential force. When you cling to limiting beliefs, you clamp a lid on your potential. When you forge empowering ones, you ignite an internal engine that can roar across industries, communities, and hearts. Beliefs as a collective chorus. The beliefs you hold also shape the culture around you. A single leader who embodies failure is feedback fosters innovation across entire teams. A parent who lives love is worthy of effort models courage for children. As you reshape your beliefs, notice how your words, tone, and actions begin to shift the beliefs of those in your orbit. You become both craftsman and catalyst, forging not just your life, but stirring transformation in others. The continuous cycle of refinement, even as you adopt new convictions, remain vigilant. Belief is a living system susceptible to erosion over time. Commit to quarterly audits, revisit your journal, scan your proof positive notes, and recalibrate. Perhaps a once empowering belief has become rigid. Refine it to allow new nuance and growth. This cycle ensures your mental forge remains red hot, ever ready to shape the next chapter of your ascent. The unbreakable sword. Now, envision that glowing blade, your new belief merging from the forge. It gleams with intention and purpose. Hold it aloft. This is your internal weapon against doubt, your tool for cutting through every obstacle. With it, you stride through the world not as a tentative bystander, but as an empowered architect shaping every experience. Feel its weight, sense its edge. Know that in your hands lies the power to carve futures unimagined and uplift countless souls along the way. As you close this section, carry this truth in your bones. When you shatter limiting beliefs and reforge empowering ones, you transform the raw material of your life into an unbreakable sword of purpose. In the next section, we'll mine the gold of every moment, extracting the insights that will guide your journey with precision and clarity. Lean into the hush that follows action, the soft aftermath when the world settles, and you can finally hear the whisper beneath the clamor of daily life. In this stillness lies a treasure, insight, the alchemical spark that transmutes mere experience into enduring wisdom. If mindset is the foundation and belief the blade you forge, then insight is the rare ore you uncover, pure, unrefined brilliance waiting to be shaped by your perception. Picture Walt Disney in 1928, penniless and forced to close his first studio. Most would have crumbled under the weight of defeat. Yet in the ashes of that failure, Disney seized an insight. Audiences didn't need lavish detail or complex plots. They craved characters that made them feel. He distilled joy into a simple mouse with big eyes and an even bigger heart. That single realization, excavated from loss, became the cornerstone of an entertainment empire that still enchants billions. Insight is not random. It is a practicing art of excavation that demands presence, curiosity, and relentless reflection. Here's how to mine your own veins of insight. 1. Cultivate a curious heart. Stay hungry, stay foolish, Steve Jobs advised. But hunger without focus is franticit, scatters attention like dry leaves in the wind. Real curiosity marries desire with deliberate questioning. Begin each day by posing one big question about your life or work. Why do I resist taking that risk? What pattern keeps repeating in my relationships? Where does my passion meet the world's greatest need? Write your question at the top of your journal page. Then watch how your mind, unconsciously attuned, begins collecting clues throughout the day, fragments of conversation, fleeting emotions, sudden aha moments. These clues are your raw nuggets of insight, waiting for you to gather them. 2, embrace the stillness. When Edison's lab hummed with machinery, he still carved out pockets of silence moments when he could peer beneath the surface of his experiments. Insight, like a fish, often bites only when the water is calm. Schedule daily white space, 5 minutes of undirected attention, no phone, no notes, no agenda. Sit in silence, observe your thoughts, and let connections form naturally. Try a walking meditation. Move slowly, notice each step, and breathe evenly. As thoughts drift by, watch them without judgment. In that gentle awareness, sudden clarity often surfaces a metaphor delivered by the swaying branches, a solution whispered by the breeze. 3. Record every spark. A fleeting thought can ignite a revolution in your life. Make it impossible to lose these sparks. Carry a pocket notebook or digital recorder. Create a dedicated insight inbox on your phone, quick voice memos or bullet notes. At day's end, transfer these raw entries into a master journal. Over weeks, you'll accumulate a mosaic of insights. Some will shimmer with immediate relevance. Others will lie dormant until months later when in the right context, they reveal their true power. Edison's notebooks over 5, 0 of them read like treasure maps of experimentation. Yours can be just as transformational. 4. Connect the dots across contexts. Insights seldom arrive fully formed. They are shards of a larger pattern scattered across diverse experiences. Each week, set aside 30 minutes to review your journal and look for recurring threads. A metaphor that appears in different scenarios, a resilient tree, a flowing river, a certain emotion, excitement, dread that surfaces in varied tasks. A lesson hinted at in both professional and personal contexts. By weaving these threads, you start assembling a tapestry of understanding far richer than any isolated revelation. Lincoln, in his lawyer days, noticed parallels between courtroom strategy and political negotiation. He used that cross-contextual insight to craft the Emancipation Proclamation with both moral clarity and strategic precision. 5. Share and test your insights. An insight unrevealed is like an idea trapped in amber, beautiful but inert. Bring your discoveries into the world. Teach. Explain your insight to a friend, colleague, or mentor. If it resonates, it will spark their curiosity and spark dialogue that refines your understanding. Publish. Write a short blog post, social media reflection, or journal entry. The act of crafting coherent language around your idea clarifies its contours. Apply, identify one decision or project where you can use this insight as a guiding principle, track the results. When Andrew Carnegie mentored young industrialists, he didn't just lecture. He asked them to apply principles in real business scenarios and report back. That cycle of sharing and testing sharpened his own insights into strategies that transformed entire industries. Deepening the practice, 5 archetypal insight exercises. To accelerate your ability to mine insights, integrate these deeper exercises. 1. Reverse journaling. At day's end, write down not only what happened, but why it mattered. Ask, so what? 5 times for each event, peeling back layers until you reach the core lesson. 2. Metaphor mapping. Choose an area of your life, career, relationships, health, and brainstorm 10 metaphors that capture its essence. For each metaphor, ask how it illuminates one practical next step. 3. Obstacle inquiry. Identify a current challenge, then write, what is this teaching me as a heading? List every possible lesson, no matter how abstract, and rate which resonates as the most potent nugget of insight. 4. Dual perspective dialogue. For any persistent question, write 2 short monologues only from your current viewpoint, one from the vantage point of a mentor you admire, Edison, Lincoln, or even your future self. Observe the contrasts and convergences. The spark between them often reveals fresh pathways. 5. Insight synthesis retreat. Once per quarter, take a half-day retreat where you'll read back your journal for the past 3 months. Highlight 5 entries that feel most significant and spend an hour on each, digging into context, emotions, and implications. Then draft a manifesto of the top 3 insights that will shape your next chapter. The transformative power of insight. When insights accumulate, they become catalysts for massive shifts. A single insight like Disney's discovery of heart-centered character scan redirect an entire career. A cascade of insights, each small but persistent, reshapes your worldview, your strategies, and your habits. Consider the rise of Apple. Steve Jobs' insight that computers should be intuitive led to the Macintosh. His later realization that music could live in people's pockets sparked the iPod. And his belief that communication should be seamless spawned the iPhone. Each insight built upon the last, creating a revolution that began with user experience and rippled into global culture. In your own journey, these insights are your catalysts. They direct your vision, focus your purpose, and guide your disciplined action. They transform random efforts into strategic moves, and they convert setbacks into vectors of growth. Anchoring insights in your narrative. As we prepare to move into section 5, vision, carry these practices with you. Keep your insight inbox open and active. Honor the stillness that births your best ideas. Weave your insights into daily decisions and long-term plans. Remember, every insight is a gift. Value it, refine it, and share it. The jewels you gather today will light the path you walk tomorrow. As your mind sharpens with each revelation, your vision grows more vivid, demanding expression. Soon you'll paint that vision in bold strokes across the canvas of your life. Feel the quiet glow of those discoveries warming your spirit. You have mined the gold within every moment, and now the ore lies at your feet, ready to be refined into the life you envision. Close your eyes and see a vast blank canvas stretching before you, horizon to horizon, sky to earth. This expanse is your future, unmarked by limitation and waiting for the bold strokes of your intention. Vision is more than a goal. It is the living portrait of possibility that calls you forward, a beacon whose light draws every thought, every action, and every resource into alignment. Imagine standing before that canvas as an artist holding a quiver of pigments, each hue, a facet of your deepest desires. The fiery red of courage, the serene blue of purpose, the golden yellow of gratitude. With every deliberate brushstroke, you lay down a fragment of your tomorrow. The more vivid and detailed your vision, the more your subconscious mind, like a master collaborator, marshals unseen forces ideas, people, opportunities to bring that painting into three-dimensional reality. The power of vivid vision. When Henry Ford drew up his first plans for an automobile affordable to the average worker, his sketches weren't vague concepts. They detailed the engine's measurements, the seat's curvature, the wagon's precise wheelbase. In his mind, he could hear the roar of the motor, feel the wind through open windows, and see families embarking on weekend drives in a world transformed. That clarity of vision galvanized investors, motivated engineers, and ultimately birthed the Model T, which rolled off assembly lines by the thousands on October 1, 1908. Walt Disney didn't just dream of a theme park, sketch Cinderella's castle in exquisite detail, imagined the aroma of popcorn drifting through Main Street, and heard children's laughter echoing down Mississippi boat rides. His vision was so palpable that as early as 1955, when Disneyland opened in Anaheim, crowds thronged its gates, eager to step into the world he had painted with words. Vision is the magnet that pulls reality toward you. Without it, you wander at the mercy of circumstances. With it, you forge your own destiny. 3 pillars of a brilliant vision. To craft a vision that ignites your soul and commands action, anchor it in these 3 pillars. 1, clarity of detail. A vision must be so specific that your mind cannot distinguish it from memory. Paint every element. Environment. What does your workspace look like? Is it filled with natural light, shelves lined with books and artifacts of your journey? Sensations. What scents, sounds, and textures surround you? Feel the smooth grip of a pen as you sign a contract with a collaborator. Hear the applause that greets your debut talk. Outcomes. Who benefits from your work? Visualize their gratitude, the transformation you facilitate in their lives. When Elon Musk envisaged reusable rockets at SpaceX, he simulated every landing sequence in software down to the whine of turbine blades on descent. That level of detail reduced uncertainty, focused his team, and transformed science fiction into the Falcon 9's triumphant touchdown in 2015. 2. Emotion is fuel. A lifeless plan is easily abandoned. An emotionally charged vision sustains you through the darkest nights. Anchor your vision in feeling, gratitude, sense profound appreciation for each milestone not yet reached but already assured. Excitement, feel the adrenaline of breakthrough, moments of securing that first funding, of witnessing your creation take form. Pride, taste the quiet triumph in delivering on your promise, in upholding your highest standards. When Oprah Winfrey envisioned a media empire that would amplify marginalized voices, she didn't merely calculate market segments. She felt the yearning in millions of hearts for authenticity, empowerment, and connection. That emotional resonance turned a local talk show into a cultural juggernaut. 3. Alignment with purpose. A vision untethered to your why will falter when obstacles loom. Inscribe your purpose into the very fabric of your vision. Service. How does your work uplift others? Let that promise serve as your true north. Legacy. What ripple effect will your actions have decades from now? Envision grandchildren telling stories of how your innovations changed the world. Integrity. Which values guide every brushstroke? Honesty, compassion, excellence. Consider Rachel Carson, whose vision of an earth free of pesticide devastation was rooted in her profound love for nature. When she published Silent Spring in 1962, her purpose-driven clarity sparked the modern environmental movement, reshaping policy and public consciousness, anchoring vision in daily life. A potent vision must be more than an occasional daydream. It must live in your daily rituals. Morning visualization ritual. Before the world stirs, spend 5 minutes seated in stillness. With eyes closed, replay your vision in cinematic detail. Feel the textures, hear the cadence of your own voice as you deliver impact. Let these images charge your nervous system with resolve before distraction intrudes. Vision board of words. Create a digital or physical collage, not of stock images, but of power words and phrases. I innovate with courage. I inspire transformation. I build bridges of possibility. Place these where you'll see them throughout the day. Words carry nuance that unlocks both conscious and subconscious alignment. Quarterly reality check. Every 90 days, convene a vision council, just you, a journal, and a clear mind. Compare your lived experience to your canvas, celebrate alignments, honor deviations, and revise the painting when new insights demand evolution. Google co-founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin revisited their tanks moonshot thinking quarterly, using updated data and shifting context to refine projects like self-driving cars and quantum computing. That disciplined recalibration kept their vision both aspirational and actionable. Overcoming vision roadblocks. Even the most compelling vision meets its share of resistance, both internal and external. When doubt whispers that your dream is too grand, or when critics question your ability, anchor yourself in these tactics. 1. Micro commitments. Break your vision into tiny commitment atoms, actions so small you can't say no. Draft 1 paragraph of your white paper tonight. Sketch 1 new product feature in the next 10 minutes. These micro wins build momentum and erode inertia. 2. Failure as feedback. When elements of your vision don't materialize as planned, resist discouragement. Instead ask, what does this teach me? NASA's Mars Climate Orbiter burned up in 1,999 due to a metric imperial conversion error, an expensive lesson that yielded improved verification protocols and ultimately guided rovers safely to Martian soil. 3. Vision allies. Just as a painter needs fellow creatives to critique composition and color balance, you need vision allies, mentors, peers, or coaches who understand your purpose. Convene regular canvas sessions where you share progress, solicit feedback, and refine your masterpiece. 4. Immersive environment. Surround yourself with reminders of your vision's world. Curate music playlists, art, podcasts, and environments that evoke the reality you seek. When Bill Gates built the Gates Foundation, he immersed himself in global health reports, on-the-ground field visits, and dialogues with experts surrounding his vision with the textures of the world he wanted to create. Vision in action, case studies. SpaceX's Starship, Elon Musk's vision to colonize Mars isn't a distant weekend fantasy. It's a series of increasingly complex prototypes, simulations, and refueling tests, each designed to validate a detail in the grand canvas of interplanetary travel. Every static fire test, every orbital intubation is a brushstroke on the Martian horizon. Malala Yousafzai's advocacy. Shot for her belief in girls' education, Malala envisioned a world where every girl could learn. Despite life-threatening adversity, she forged her vision into the Malala Fund, partnering with governments and NGOs to open classrooms in Pakistan, Nigeria, and beyond. Her vivid, purpose-fueled vision continues to change laws and lives. Tesla's electric revolution. When engineers at Tesla dreamed of mass-market electric cars, they imagined more than sleek vehicles. They painted a future of renewable energy, solar integration, and a carbon-neutral grid. Their gigafactories and battery innovations were steps toward that grand mural of a sustainable planet. Each of these examples started as a vivid vision in someone's mind long before the inaugural test flight, the first scholarship program, or the first battery roll-off. Your vision's next chapter. Now, take a steady breath and bring your canvas into focus. Begin to sketch. 1. Write a vision statement. In one powerful paragraph, describe the world you will build, paint it with sensory detail, emotional resonance, and the promise of impact. 2. Identify 3 immediate experiments. Which actions can you take in the next week to validate a critical detail of your vision? Test them boldly. 3. Gather your vision allies. Reach out to 2 people whose perspective amplifies your Canvasan experience mentor, a peer in your field, or someone living the reality you aspire to. Hold your statement in your mind like a lodestar. Let each decision, every email, every meeting, every creative flash be guided by this portrait of tomorrow. Remember, vision is not static. It evolves as you do. But its power lies in the colors you choose today. The richness of detail, the depth of emotion, and the alignment with your purpose will magnetize every facet of reality toward your masterpiece. As you step back from your freshly painted canvas, sense how the world seems to shift in response. Doors you never knew existed crack open. Ideas flood in from unexpected sources. Your life begins to rearrange itself around the contours of your vision. This is the alchemy of a soul on fire. This is the power of painting tomorrow with the colors of your own heart. A dream without discipline is like a ship without a rudder, beautiful in design, rich in promise, but destined to drift aimlessly with every gust of wind. Discipline is the sacred agreement you make with your future self. It's not about punishment, nor is it about rigidity. It is about love, deep, unshakable love for the person you are becoming. And that love is not soft, it's not warm and fuzzy. It is steel forged in the furnace of commitment. Discipline doesn't show up for applause. It shows up when no one is watching. It wakes up before the sun rises. It keeps promises made in silence. It sacrifices comfort not because it hates rest, but because it honors growth. When people talk about discipline, they often talk about routine, about habits, about building structure. That's part of it. But true discipline begins with a mindset, a vow to never betray the version of yourself that dared to believe something more was possible. The quiet glory of showing up. Think of the violinist who practices scales for hours every morning. Think of the boxer who wakes up before dawn to run through icy streets. Think of the monk in the mountains who greets every sunrise with devotion. These people are not waiting to feel inspired. They do not rely on mood. They do not negotiate with the voice of procrastination. They do not reason with laziness. They've trained themselves to understand one simple truth. Consistency is more powerful than intensity. You can't build a masterpiece with scattered effort. The Sistine Chapel wasn't painted in a weekend. Michelangelo worked on his back, on scaffolding, day after day for 4 years. And when asked how he carved David from a block of marble, he said, "I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free." That's what discipline is, carving away the distractions, the doubt, the bad habits, until the angel inside you, your highest potential, is finally revealed. 3 lies we tell ourselves to avoid discipline. 1, I'll start when I feel ready. But readiness is a myth. If you wait for motivation to hit you like a lightning bolt, you'll wait forever. Discipline creates momentum. Momentum creates motivation. Action comes first. When Thomas Edison failed 0 times trying to invent the light bulb, he didn't wait to feel ready to try again. He kept working. I have not failed, he said. I've just found 0 ways that won't work. He showed up every day, regardless of how he felt. That is discipline. 2, I'm not built like those people. As if self-control is a gift reserved for the chosen few. But discipline is not genetic. It is trained, built, strengthened. It's a muscle. And like any muscle, it grows through use. Nelson Mandela did not spend 27 years in prison because he was born with supernatural patience. He disciplined his anger, his grief, his fear until they became servants of his mission, not masters of his mind. 3, a little break won't hurt. And sometimes it won't. But it's a slippery slope. Discipline is built in the moments when nobody would blame you for quitting, yet you continue. It's built on the days when giving in would be easy and staying strong feels like breaking apart. That's when your character is forged. Daily disciplines of the extraordinary. Ask yourself, what do the highest performers in the world have in common? Athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, spiritual leaders. They don't share the same talents, the same backgrounds, or the same resources, but they do share ruthless consistency. They honor the morning. They don't wake up scrolling through noise. They wake with intention. Whether it's prayer, meditation, exercise, journaling, or strategic planning, the first hour is sacred. They protect their energy. They don't say yes to everything. They aren't afraid to be misunderstood. They curate what they consume mentally, emotionally, and physically. They measure progress, not perfection. They track their habits, review their goals, reflect on their failures. They're not afraid of imperfection. They're afraid of stagnation. They train their willpower. They build routines that reduce decision fatigue. Steve Jobs wore the same outfit every day. Barack Obama planned his wardrobe in advance. Every decision they didn't need to make was 1 more ounce of strength for what mattered most. Turning discipline into devotion. When you think of discipline as something external, a drill sergeant forcing you to comply, you will resist it. But when you make it sacred, when you turn it into devotion, everything changes. Discipline, at its highest form, becomes a form of worship. Not religious worship, but reverence for the divine within you. The version of you who was born to bring something extraordinary into the world. Think of Japanese artisans who spend decades perfecting the art of sushi. They begin by learning to wash rice for 3 years, not slicing, not serving just rice, because every detail is holy. Every movement is an act of precision, presence, and respect. What if you approached your work with that same reverence? What if you saw your life's work as art, the enemy of discipline, distraction? We live in the age of the short attention span. Dopamine hits, scrolling feeds, instant gratification, but every notification is a thief. Every meaningless distraction pulls you further from your higher self. You can't build an empire with your eyes glued to someone else's highlight reel. Ask yourself, are you consuming more than you're creating? Your phone can be a portal to wisdom or a weapon against your discipline. It's not about quitting technology. It's about using it with intention, setting boundaries, creating sanctuaries of silence in a world addicted to noise. Try this. 1 hour of phone-free mornings, 1 day per week with 0 social media, 1 workspace with no distractions, no tabs, no noise, just presence. Your attention is your most valuable currency. Spend it wisely. Real-world stories of relentless discipline. Kobe Bryant was known to start practice at 4:00 a.m. His teammates would arrive at 7:00, thinking they were early, only to find Kobe dripping in sweat, already 2 hours into his drills. He didn't just love basketball, he revered the craft. That reverence made him immortal. J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter in cafes while struggling with depression and raising a child as a single mother. Every word was a rebellion against her circumstances. Every page was built on discipline. She wrote not when it was convenient, but when it was necessary. David Goggins, once overweight and broken, became a Navy SEAL, ultra-marathon runner, and symbol of unrelenting will. He calls it the calloused mind, a mind that no longer flinches at hardship, a mind that finds comfort in discomfort. That kind of mind is only born through the fire of discipline, a contract with your future. Today, you can write a contract with your future self, not in ink, but in action. Make a vow, I will show up. I will not negotiate with excuses. I will honor my commitments in silence. I will not be moved by moods. I will be shaped by principle. My discipline will be louder than my dreams, because dreams without action are hallucinations. And I wasn't born to hallucinate, I was born to manifest. You don't need to be the most talented. You don't need the most resources. You don't need to feel ready. You need to decide. You need to commit. You need to act, not tomorrow, now, because every second you delay, every moment you say, maybe later, is another moment the life you want slips further out of reach. Discipline is the only bridge strong enough to carry you from intention to impact, from fantasy to fulfillment. Build that bridge step by step, stone by stone. No matter how small the effort, no matter how invisible the progress, keep laying the bricks. Because one day when you cross it, when you look back, you'll realize you didn't just build a bridge. You built yourself. You can have the right mindset. You can cultivate the deepest beliefs. You can write your vision, define your purpose, practice daily discipline. But if you do not active, you do not move, your greatness stays locked inside like an unopened treasure chest at the bottom of the ocean. Action is the fire that turns potential into power. The universe does not respond to thoughts alone. It responds to movement, to energy, to decisions backed by behavior. You were not born to be a spectator in your own life. You were not born to wait. You were born to initiate, to engage, to build. Let's stop pretending that good intentions are enough, that inspiration without implementation has value, that talking about a dream is the same as working on it. The world does not reward what you think about doing. It rewards what you actually do. Why action feels so hard and why it's supposed to. Let's be honest. Taking action feels uncomfortable. Your brain fights it. Your ego resists it. Your fear tells you, wait a little longer. Just plan more. What if you're not ready? But here's the truth. The resistance you feel before taking action is not a signal to stop. It's a sign you're on the edge of transformation. Every inventor, every artist, every visionary has felt that tremble before the first move. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. Oprah was fired from her first television job. Steve Jobs was removed from the very company he founded, but they acted again and again. Not because they weren't afraid, but because the cost of inaction was greater than the fear of failure. Motion versus action. Stop confusing the two. Scrolling through motivational content, that's motion. Highlighting a self-help book, that's motion. Creating color-coded plans for your business that you never launch, motion. It feels like progress, but it's a trap. Motion is preparation. Action is commitment. Motion is researching 5 different workout routines. Action is putting your shoes on and sweating for 30 minutes. Motion keeps you safe. Action makes you vulnerable, and that's why it's powerful. Because vulnerability is where growth happens, where learning happens, where real life happens. If you're waiting until you're no longer afraid, you'll be waiting forever. Do it afraid, do it unsure, do it imperfectly, but do it, the myth of the perfect time. We all secretly believe there will be a perfect moment when things settle down, when the money comes in, when the stars align. But life doesn't pause to accommodate your hesitation. There is no perfect time. There is only your time and it's moving whether you act or not. The Wright brothers didn't wait until the technology existed, they created it. Rosa Parks didn't wait for permission, she created a movement by saying no. Elon Musk didn't wait for society to catch up to his vision, he acted like it already had. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary isn't talent. It's action taken before the world is ready. The rule of immediate momentum. Here's a law that will change your life. If an idea inspires you, act on it within 24 hours, sir, the fire will fade. You don't need to finish, you just need to start. Send the first email, make the first call, write the first paragraph, film the first video, sketch the first outline, tiny steps, immediate momentum. Don't underestimate the power of beginning. Starting creates feedback. Feedback creates clarity. Clarity creates confidence. And confidence fuels more action. It's a sacred loop, and it begins with a single step. Action creates identity. Here's a truth most people never hear. You don't become confident before you take action. You become confident because you took action. Action creates identity. You prove to yourself who you are by what you do. Every time you choose to act in alignment with the future you envision, you're not just changing your results, you're changing your self-image. You go from saying, I want to be a writer, to I write. From I'm trying to be healthy, to I honor my body. From I'm thinking of starting a business, to I am an entrepreneur. Your habits shape your reality, yes, but your actions shape your identity. And identity is destiny. From thought to execution, the bridge of courage. You don't need a 10-step plan. You need to begin with what you have. Most people wait for more knowledge, more money, more time, more validation. But history is full of people who started with nothing. Vincent van Gogh sold only one painting in his lifetime. He still painted over 900. Frederick Douglass taught himself to read while enslaved and changed the course of American history. Helen Keller was deaf and blind, but still became a published author, lecturer, and global advocate. These are not stories of luck. They are stories of unshakable action in the face of impossible odds. And if they can act with less, you can act with what you have. The antidote to overthinking is action. You don't need another week to weigh the pros and cons. You need movement. Because once you begin, things get real, messy, tangible, alive. Overthinking kills dreams more than failure ever could. Every overthinker believes they're being careful. What they're really being is afraid. Afraid of looking stupid. Afraid of being rejected. Afraid of failing publicly. But guess what? You will look stupid. You will fail. People will judge you. And you will survive. In fact, you will grow. Because failure is not the enemy. Inaction is. The graveyard is full of people who had brilliant ideas and never acted on them. Don't be one of them. 3 commitments to take today. 1, the 10-minute rule. If something matters, commit to doing it for 10 minutes a day. Writing, meditating, learning, working out. It doesn't have to be long, it just has to be done. Momentum is born in minutes. 2, the 72-hour launch. Every new idea deserves action within 72 hours. Build a prototype, share it online, ask for feedback, book the appointment, take the leap. The longer you wait, the louder the doubt. 3, the imperfection pact. Repeat this to yourself daily. I release the need to be perfect. I act boldly, knowing progress lives in the mess. Action is service. Remember, your dreams are not just for you. Your gifts were not meant to rot inside you. Your ideas were not random. They were placed in you for a reason. To awaken someone, to uplift, to inspire. Every time you act on your calling, you become a lighthouse for someone still lost in the dark. You never know who is watching, who is silently being changed by your courage. Every act of service starts with one decision: to stop thinking and start doing. Final word, what will you do next? This isn't theory. This isn't poetry. This is a call to action. Your life doesn't change when you learn more. Your life changes when you do more with what you already know. Right now, in this moment, you have enough clarity, enough strength, enough reason. You are not waiting for opportunity. You are the opportunity. So take the step, make the move, break the pattern, build the thing, live the story that only action can write. Because the life you want, it doesn't wait for hesitation. It rewards the bold. We live in a world that teaches us to chase more, chase next, chase better. It's the constant drumbeat of dissatisfaction, upgrade, hustle, compete, win. And while ambition is sacred, ungrounded ambition becomes poison when it forgets to honor the present. That's where gratitude comes in, not as a soft whisper of thanks, but as a roaring force that multiplies the beauty of everything you already have. Gratitude is not a break from growth, it is the foundation of it. Because when you can learn to deeply appreciate where you are, even as you move toward where you're going, you stop chasing life and you start living it. You stop waiting for happiness and start creating it in real time. And here's the truth. The person who is grateful, even in lack, will receive more. But the person who is ungrateful, even in abundance, will always feel empty. The misunderstood superpower. We've misunderstood gratitude. We've been taught that it's reactive, that it only comes after the good things show up. But real gratitude is proactive. It shows up first. It speaks before the blessings arrive. It's the voice that says, I don't need to have everything figured out to be thankful today. Gratitude isn't naive optimism. It doesn't ignore pain or pretend everything's perfect. Gratitude says, even here, there's something sacred. Even now, there is something meaningful. It's not just a moral virtue, it's a neurological one. Study after study proves it. Gratitude rewires your brain, it lowers cortisol, increases serotonin, makes your heart healthier, your relationships deeper, your focus stronger, your sleep better, your mood more stable. It's not fluff, it's fuel. Gratitude in the storm. Anyone can be grateful when life is easy, but life isn't always easy. Life throws storms, suffering, setbacks, grief. Gratitude doesn't cancel the pain, it gives you the power to walk through it. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. He emerged not bitter, but grateful. Grateful for the time to reflect, grateful for the strength it built. Viktor Frankl, in the horrors of Auschwitz, found gratitude in a crust of bread and later wrote, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms to choose one's attitude. That's what makes gratitude so revolutionary. It gives you control when everything else feels lost. It says, I still choose to see the light. Not because you're in denial, but because you refuse to let the darkness define you. Your mind focuses on what you feed it. Your brain is a filter, a reticular activating system. Whatever you focus on, it finds more of. If you constantly feed it with, I don't have enough, I'm falling behind, why me? It will find proof that you're right. But if you feed it with, I'm thankful for this breath, this moment is a gift, I have more than I realize, your brain begins to shift. And so does your life. Not because the world suddenly changes, but because you do. And when you change how you see, you change what you see. Gratitude is a discipline. Gratitude is not a feeling you wait for. It's a practice you choose. Some mornings you wake up with fire in your heart. Other days you wake up in fog and fatigue. Gratitude is the compass that brings you back. It takes 5 minutes to change the frequency of your entire day. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. Speak them aloud like a prayer, like a declaration. Let yourself feel the truth of them. It could be as small as sunlight through your window, clean water in your glass, the voice of someone who loves you, the strength to begin again. The moment you honor what you have, life expands. Because the universe does not give more to those who complain, it gives more to those who appreciate. Gratitude versus comparison. Gratitude and comparison cannot exist in the same heart. One will always drown out the other. Comparison says, they have more, so I have less. Gratitude says, they have more and I'm still blessed. Comparison poisons the soul. It tricks you into believing life is a race, that worth is earned by outperforming others. But gratitude liberates you. It reminds you that your journey is yours, that your timeline is not late, that your value was never tied to someone else's success. Carnegie became a millionaire by age 33. Colonel Sanders started KFC in his 60s. Mother Teresa had no money, yet changed more lives than most billionaires. Your path is not theirs, and their blessings don't diminish yours. Gratitude turns your eyes from what's missing to what's already miraculous. Gratitude turns routine into sacred. It's easy to overlook the blessings that show up daily, the things you've normalized, the things you prayed for 5 years ago but now take for granted. Gratitude revives wonder, the smell of coffee in the morning, the laughter of a child, the ability to walk, to read, to speak, a heart that still beats, a body that still breathes. Don't let the extraordinary become invisible. Gratitude takes the mundane and infuses it with meaning. It takes the ordinary and reveals how miraculous it truly is. Gratitude as an act of rebellion. In a world fueled by envy, entitlement, and endless scrolling, choosing gratitude is a radical act. When society tells you to want more, grab more, prove more, gratitude whispers, you are enough. You have enough right here, right now. That doesn't mean you stop growing. It means you stop hating yourself as you grow. Gratitude doesn't kill ambition, it cleanses it. It aligns your hunger with humility. It lets you chase dreams without chasing validation. It lets you desire better while honoring what is. That's power. That's peace. Turning pain into praise. Gratitude as a higher octave, a level where even pain becomes part of your thankfulness. Not because the pain is enjoyable, but because it's purposeful. Because it shaped you, refined you, humbled you, opened you. Think back to your hardest seasons. Didn't they birth your deepest wisdom? Didn't they teach you what joy alone never could? Pain doesn't need to be praised, but the strength it forged in you, that deserves a standing ovation. Gratitude lets you look at the scar and say, you didn't break me, you built me. That's when you know you've truly grown. Daily gratitude, a practice that elevates everything. Let this become your rhythm. Wake up thankful. Speak life over your day. Count blessings instead of burdens. Catch your thoughts when they spiral. Find one beautiful thing in the middle of the mess. Do this daily, not occasionally, not when things are perfect. Daily. Because the more you practice gratitude, the more life gives you to be grateful for. Final word, make gratitude your ground. Gratitude is not a chapter in your story, it's the soil it grows from. Make it your default, not your detour. And watch how it changes everything. Your relationships soften, your mind sharpens, your anxiety shrinks, your presence deepens. Gratitude turns not enough into abundance, it turns someday into now. It turns pressure into peace. You don't need a miracle to be grateful, but gratitude is the miracle. So start today, because the life you want, it doesn't just need ambition, it needs appreciation. Life does not ask for your permission to change. It shifts without warning. It throws curveballs, detours, setbacks. It dismantles your plans and rearranges the map. And the question isn't, how do I stop it? The question is, how do I become someone who bends without breaking? That's the power of adaptability, not weakness, not surrender, but the supreme strength of being fluid in the face of fire. It's the wisdom of knowing that the tree that refuses to bend in the wind is the first to snap, but the tree that flexes survives the storm. We admire the unshakable, but we forget what's truly unshakable is not what never moves, it's what moves with grace and still stays rooted That's the art of adaptability. From rigidity to resilience, adaptability is the heartbeat of evolution. Nature itself rewards the adaptable, not the strongest, not the smartest, but the most responsive. Charles Darwin didn't say survival belongs to the fittest. He said it belongs to the most adaptable to change. The dinosaurs were massive, dominant, ruling the earth, and now they're bones in museums. Why? Because they didn't adapt. But human beings, tiny, fragile, vulnerable, and yet we climb to the top. Not by force, but by flexibility, by learning, evolving, shifting, by being humble enough to unlearn and brave enough to try again. That's your inheritance, not to be fixed, but to be fluid, not to control everything, but to dance with what comes. Life won't always let you finish the plan. We're taught to plan everything, set the goal, make the list, stick to the schedule, control the outcome. But life laughs at fixed blueprints. You thought you'd be married by 30, now you're starting over at 35. You thought this job was the destination, now the company's shut down. You thought your health was unshakable, and then came the diagnosis. You thought that person would never leave, and yet they did. What now? You adapt. You do not cling to what was. You do not mourn the map. You honor the new terrain. You move with it, grow through it, rise above it. Because resisting change never stops change. It only breaks you in the process. The bamboo and the oak, in ancient Eastern philosophy, they tell the story of the bamboo and the oak. The oak tree stands tall and rigid, strong, unbending. But when the storm comes, it is the bamboo that survives because it bends. It dances with the wind. It moves, but it doesn't fall. And when the storm passes, it stands upright again, unharmed. Your ego wants to be the oak, but your soul was built to be bamboo because it knows survival is not about control, it's about connection to life's rhythm, to its seasons, to the wisdom that says this too is part of the journey. Adaptability doesn't mean you don't have a backbone. Let's be clear, adaptability is not about being spineless, it's not giving up your values, it's not abandoning your dreams. It's about shifting your methods, not your mission. If the door closes, find a window. If the road ends, carve a new one. If the world changes, don't wait for it to go back to normal, build a better version inside it. Muhammad Ali once said, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. That wasn't just boxing strategy, it was life strategy. He moved, he pivoted, he adapted. He knew the fighter who stays rigid in the ring dies in the ring. Learning to say, I don't know yet. One of the most powerful phrases you can say in the face of change is, I don't know yet, not I failed, not I'm stuck, not this is the end. Just, I don't know yet. It's permission to stay open, to not panic, to not collapse under uncertainty. I don't know yet turns fear into curiosity. It creates space, space to learn, space to adjust, space to breathe. The most successful people in history weren't the ones who knew all the answers. They were the ones who were willing to keep learning, even as the questions changed. Adaptability in relationships. You want your relationships to last? Learn to adapt. Because love is not a static emotion. It's a living energy. It changes, evolves, deepens, gets challenged. The way you love at 20 is not the way you love at 40. The way your partner communicates today may not be how they communicated yesterday. The seasons of your friendship will shift. Some will test boundaries. Others will demand forgiveness. Adaptability is what allows love to grow instead of rot. It's what allows you to say, we're not who we were, and that's okay. It's what lets you navigate storms together, not by holding each other to who you used to be, but by growing into who you're becoming, the entrepreneur's edge. In business, adaptability is gold. Kodak invented the digital camera and still died because they refused to adapt. Blockbuster had the chance to buy Netflix but laughed at the idea of streaming. History is littered with stories of those who succeeded too long and then fell because they refused to change. But look at Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Sarah Blakely, Oprah, Jeff Bezos. They all had moments where they shifted directions, redefined strategies, adapted to new realities. They didn't cling to being right. They clung to becoming better. And in doing so, they didn't just survive, they revolutionized emotional adaptability. The most powerful adaptation? Emotional. Can you adjust how you feel, how you respond, how you show up, even when things don't go your way? Can you hold disappointment without bitterness? Can you stay soft without becoming passive? Can you let go of old dreams so better ones can find you? Emotional adaptability is what allows you to say, this hurts, but I'm still here. I didn't expect this, but I'll face it anyway. I'm scared, but I'm moving forward. It's the inner alchemy that turns breakdowns into breakthroughs. Becoming water. Bruce Lee said it best, be like water. Water doesn't fight the rock, it flows around it. It doesn't resist the container, it becomes it. It doesn't demand the path be easy, it finds a way over time through anything. You are 70% water, you were built to adapt. So the next time the plan breaks, the dream shifts, the world flips upside down, don't collapse. Be like water. Move with it. Find your shape in the new space. And trust, the life you want isn't lost, it's just taking a different road. Final word, adaptability is the secret to longevity. What makes you last isn't just your fire, it's your flexibility. It's not how hard you push, it's how well you pivot. It's not how loud you are in calm, it's how wise you are in chaos. Adaptability is the bridge between who you are and who you're becoming, between today's limits and tomorrow's liberation. So don't fear change, don't resist it, don't wait for things to go back to normal. There is no back, only forward, only now, only the version of you that's brave enough to keep moving. There will come a moment in your life, maybe you've already lived through it, where it all falls apart. The rug gets pulled, the lights go out, the phone call comes, the silence grows, the dream ends. The person leaves, the system fails, the plan disintegrates, and it feels like everything you built, everything you believed in, collapsed. That's the moment most people break. But you're not most people, because deep inside you, maybe hidden, maybe bruised, maybe forgotten, is a strength that wasn't built in comfort, it was built in chaos. That strength is resilience. The power to rise when you should have stayed down, the courage to keep walking with broken feet, the fire that won't go out even in the rain. Resilience isn't loud, it doesn't show off. It doesn't ask for applause, it just keeps going. The hero isn't the one who never fell, it's the one who kept getting up. We glorify success like it's a straight line, but the truth, behind every great comeback is a collapse. Behind every champion is someone who almost quit. Thomas Edison tried over 0 times before the light bulb worked. Oprah was fired from her first reporting job, told she was unfit for TV. Walt Disney was rejected by 300 banks before one finally funded his dream. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison and still came out a leader of peace. They were not made in their victories. They were made in the moments that broke them. And what made them legends? They got back up. Rock bottom is a foundation. People talk about hitting rock bottom like it's the end. But rock bottom is where the foundation begins. When you've lost the job, lost the love, lost your way, you're not empty, you're ready to build something real. Because when you've got nothing to lose, you finally become dangerous to mediocrity. You finally stop pretending. You finally look at your life and say, this pain will not end me. This storm will not define me. This fall is not my finale. That's not weakness. That's awakening. Rock bottom isn't the death of the dream. It's the death of the illusion and the birth of the truth. What the fire leaves behind, when a forest burns, it looks like devastation. But ecologists will tell you some seeds only open through fire. Some plants only grow after the ashes. That's resilience. You thought the fire came to destroy you, but it came to unlock you, to burn away the fake friends, the false expectations, the fragile ego, the plans that were never really yours, to leave you raw, real, and ready to rise. Resilience is what's left after the fire's gone. It's the seed in the ash, the heartbeat in the silence, the whisper that says, try again. Emotional armor versus emotional strength. We live in a world that confuses numbness with strength. We're taught to bury emotions, to wear masks, to stay strong by staying silent. But that's not resilience. Resilience isn't about suppressing what you feel. It's about facing what you feel and still choosing to move. It's crying and continuing, hurting and healing, breaking and rebuilding. It's standing in front of the wreckage of what you loved and saying, I will carry the memory and still build the future. True resilience doesn't harden you. It humbles you. It softens you. It teaches you that your scars aren't signs of failure. They're proof you fought. Resilience in the mundane. We think resilience only shows up in tragedy, but it also lives in the mundane. In waking up after a sleepless night and still showing up. In trying again when the last 10 doors said no. In loving again after being left. In hoping again after the hope was crushed. Resilience is quiet. It's not in the spotlight. It's in the habit of getting up, the habit of trying, the habit of faith. Every time you show up when it's easier to check out, you grow stronger. Every time you keep going without applause, you build roots. Because true strength isn't built in the big moments. It's built in the small ones, repeated 1,000 times. When your heart breaks, don't let your spirit break. There will be heartbreaks. This world doesn't protect us from loss. There will be days when the person you love walks away, when your name is forgotten, when your dreams take longer than you thought. But let me tell you this, your heartbreak does not mean you are broken. It means you lived. It means you loved deeply enough to feel. It means you cared enough to risk pain. Resilience is not refusing to feel. It's choosing to feel and still believe in the beauty of life anyway. Bounce back like a legend. The greatest artists, inventors, leaders, they all fell, but they had what psychologists call grit. Grit is more than passion, it's persistence. It's what makes you write the book that no one reads until it becomes a bestseller. It's what makes you launch again after 3 failed startups. It's what keeps you believing in yourself before the world does. Grit is the soul's immune system. And like all systems, it gets stronger when it's challenged. Every fall becomes training. Every setback becomes armor. Every no becomes fuel. Your past doesn't define you. Your rise does. You may have made mistakes. You may have failed. You may have burned bridges or doubted yourself or chosen wrong. But you are not your failure. You are not your past. You are not the version of you who made those choices. You are the version of you who is still standing, who is still trying, who is still daring to believe that something better is coming even when everything says it's not. You don't need a clean past to create a powerful future. You just need the will to rise. The resilient rewrite. The story, here's the truth. The world will try to write your story for you. It will tell you that you're too late, too broken, too far gone, too much, too little. Resilience is what lets you grab the pen back. It's what lets you say, no, that's not how my story ends. This chapter is mine, and I will write it in ink made from the tears I've cried, the nights I survived, the doubts I've destroyed. Resilience is defiance. It's faith on fire. It's hope in hell. It's the refusal to let the dark be the last word. Final word, you're not here because life is easy. You're here reading this, feeling this, because you've been tested, you've been bent, you've been bruised, you've been dragged through storms you didn't ask for, and yet you're still breathing. And if you're breathing, you still have purpose. The life you want is waiting for you, but it's not waiting for the perfect version of you. It's waiting for the resilient one, the one who refuses to stay down, the one who may be tired, but is still moving, the one who may be scared, but keeps believing. Because the life you want doesn't go to the flawless, it goes to the fearless. We were born knowing nothing, and yet every step we take, every choice we make is shaped by what we've learned or failed to learn. Learning isn't what happens in a classroom. It's what happens in real life. When the answers aren't written on a board, when the tests don't come with instructions, when the lessons hit you in the chest, not just in the head, life is a constant teacher. And the question is, are you paying attention? Don't just grow older, grow wiser. Some people age, others evolve. There's a difference. You don't grow just because time passes. You grow because you reflect. You grow because you adapt. You grow because you listen to the world, to your mistakes, to your inner voice. Learning isn't passive. It's not about collecting facts like trophies. It's about transformation. You don't study your past so you can obsess over what went wrong. You study it to understand what it taught you so you don't repeat it. You don't listen to someone smarter to feel smaller. You listen to become more capable. You don't learn to look good. You learn to live well. Knowledge is nothing without action. They told you knowledge is power. It's not. Applied knowledge is power. You can read 0 books and still be broke. Watch every video on success and still be stuck. Listen to every podcast on love and still feel alone. What changes you is what you do with what you learn. You don't become wise by absorbing information. You become wise by living through it, falling, failing, fumbling, and then figuring it out. So stop waiting until you've learned enough. Start using what you already know and learn more by doing. The mistakes are the lessons. You've been taught to avoid mistakes, but mistakes are not the enemy. They are the doorway. Every master was once a beginner. Every expert once looked clueless. Every great decision was once preceded by a dozen bad ones. Don't let the fear of messing up keep you from stepping forward. Because what if the failure is the lesson? What if the relationship that hurt you taught you what love isn't? What if the job you hated clarified what purpose actually feels like? What if being broke showed you how to value every dollar you now earn? Your wounds are classrooms. Your setbacks are blackboards. Learn from them. Be a student forever. The moment you think you've arrived, you've stopped evolving. Stay hungry. Stay humble. Learn from people younger than you. Learn from people older than you. Learn from those you admire and those who trigger you. Because even your enemies can teach you something, and your critics, they're not always wrong. There's a reason monks dedicate their lives to curiosity, to humility, to surrender. They know. The more you know, the more you realize how much you don't know. Let learning be your lifelong love affair. Not out of insecurity, but out of awe for how much this life has to offer. Unlearn what's holding you back. Learning isn't just about adding more. It's also about letting go. You need to unlearn that your worth is tied to your productivity. That love means losing yourself. That success is defined by a dollar amount. That failure is the end. That asking for help is weakness. Unlearn what culture taught you that contradicted your soul. You don't need to carry outdated beliefs into your next chapter. Sometimes growth isn't becoming more. It's becoming less of who the world made you and more of who you actually are. The best lessons aren't taught, they're lived. You can't teach someone how to hold grief. You have to lose something to learn that. You can't teach someone how to trust again. They have to be betrayed first. You can't teach someone what resilience feels like. They have to live through the fire. Life doesn't always give you a warning, but it always gives you a lesson. And the ones that change you the most, they come disguised as heartbreak, as loss, as delay. Don't ask, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this trying to teach me? Learn from the past, but don't live there. Your past is a library. It's full of stories, scars, and blueprints. But don't mistake it for your home. Read from it, don't live in it. Some of you are still defining yourself by what happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when you were too young to know better. It's time to graduate. You're not here to repeat chapters, you're here to write new ones. Take what you've learned and leave what you've outgrown. You're not failing if you've learned something from it. You're not lost if you've discovered something inside it. You're not behind if your lesson prepared you for what's ahead. Feed the mind like you feed the body. You eat daily, don't you? You shower, you sleep, you drink water because your body demands it. Your mind is no different. If you don't feed it intentionally, it will feed on whatever the world throws at it. Toxic media, negative people, insecure comparison, empty content. Don't let junk fill the space where wisdom could live. Make learning a ritual. Read a page a day. Listen to something that challenges you. Ask deeper questions. Surround yourself with people who think differently. Your mind is the engine of your evolution, but you've got to fuel it with something more than noise. The mind expands. When the heart opens, you don't just learn with your intellect, you learn with your heart. You grow when you forgive. You understand more when you love deeper. You learn fastest when you're vulnerable enough to say, I don't know, but I'm ready to. Some of the most important knowledge doesn't come from books or lectures. It comes from presence, from compassion, from humility. True learning is a union of wisdom and love. It's when the mind stretches and the soul deepens. Final word, be a student of life. You're not here to prove you know everything. You're here to become more aware. And that awareness, it will save your time, save your energy, save your life. Be bold enough to ask questions. Be brave enough to change your mind. Be wise enough to know that you never stop growing. Because in the end, the life you want isn't built in a day. It's built every day by how deeply you're willing to learn. We live in a world that teaches you how to hustle, how to chase, how to conquer, compete, and climb. But it forgets to teach you how to love. And I don't mean the kind of love you see in movies, the polished version with perfect smiles and curated Instagram captions. I mean the kind of love that shatters egos, the kind that challenges your pride, the kind that requires you to show up, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. The kind of love that builds nations, the kind of love that ends wars, not just the ones between countries, but the ones inside your own heart. You want to change your life? Then start with love. Love is not a feeling, it's a choice. We grew up thinking love is a spark, a butterfly in the stomach, a dopamine high. But that kind of love, it doesn't last. Because when the high fades, and it always does, so many people leave, real love doesn't disappear with convenience. It doesn't run when it gets hard. It doesn't shrink in the face of fear. Real love is a choice you make over and over again. It's showing up on the days you don't feel like it. It's saying, I forgive you when your ego screams, you don't deserve it. It's saying, I'm here even when the other person pushes you away. Because love isn't always soft. Sometimes love is fierce. Sometimes love is standing in front of someone and saying, I see all of your mess and I'm not going anywhere. You can't give what you don't have. You want to give love? Start with yourself. Because if you don't love yourself truly and deeply, you'll spend your whole life seeking validation disguised as love. You'll pour into others from an empty cup. You'll expect them to fix the parts of you that are bleeding. You'll call it connection, but it will only be dependency. Self-love is not selfish. It's survival. It's looking in the mirror and not flinching. It's forgiving yourself for the years you stayed silent, small, or scared. It's becoming the partner, the parent, the friend to yourself that you never had growing up. Because when you love yourself, you stop demanding it from others. You don't chase it. You radiate it. Love doesn't always look like romance. Some of the most profound love you'll ever know won't come with candlelight dinners or handwritten notes. It'll come in the form of a friend who picks up your call at 3 a.m., a stranger who sees your tears and sits beside you without needing to fix anything, a mentor who challenges your thinking, not to tear you down, but to build you stronger, a family member who quietly sacrifices their own dreams so you can live yours. Love isn't always loud. It doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it's a whisper in the background saying, I've got you. And that kind of love, it's sacred. Don't overlook it just because it doesn't look like a movie scene. Love is the antidote to fear. Every fear we carry of rejection, failure, abandonment, it stems from a lack of love. Because when you're rooted in love, fear loses its grip. You stop being afraid of saying the wrong thing because love can hold miscommunication. You stop being afraid of starting over because love reminds you that your worth isn't tied to outcomes. You stop being afraid of judgment because love tells you you are enough as you are. Love doesn't erase pain, but it gives it context. It says, even in this, you are held, you are not alone. The world is starving for love, and you can see it. You see it in how quick we are to cancel each other, to criticize before we understand, to judge before we listen, to protect our image instead of protecting each other's hearts. We've become experts at division, but beginners at compassion. You want to make a difference? Then love. Love without needing credit. Love without performing. Love without expectation of return. Hold space for someone's truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Speak with kindness, even when it's not deserved. Be the one who reaches out first, even if you were hurt. Because someone has to go first. And if not you, then who? Love is the most radical act of all. In a world addicted to power, to status, to money, choosing love is rebellion. Loving fully in a world that teaches you to protect yourself at all costs, that's courage. Because love breaks open the hardened places inside you. It teaches you that vulnerability is not weakness, it's strength on full display. And if you think love makes you soft, you've never seen a mother fight for her child. You've never seen a person forgive the unforgivable. You've never seen someone stand by their values even when the cost is high. Love isn't fragile. Love is fire. It's the only thing powerful enough to melt hate, heal trauma, and rewrite generations of pain. Learn how to love in the smallest moments. We often wait for big occasions to express love, but love lives in the ordinary. It lives in how you speak to your barista, in how you show up when no one's watching, in how you treat the janitor the same way you treat the CEO, in how you choose compassion when anger would be easier. Every day gives you 100 chances to be love in motion, and each one matters. Because love doesn't change the world in grand speeches. It changes the world in quiet actions multiplied by millions. Loving the unlovable, there will be people in your life who are hard to love. They'll be angry, cold, distant, hurtful. And still, you are called to love them. Not to let them walk all over you, not to let them stay toxic in your life, but to see the humanity in them even when they've forgotten it in themselves. That's the test. Can you see past someone's behavior and still recognize their soul? That doesn't mean tolerating abuse. It means holding boundaries with compassion. It means letting go of hate, not because they deserve peace, but because you do. Love is the legacy. In the end, they won't remember how much money you made. They won't remember your follower count. They won't even remember your resume. They'll remember how you made them feel. They'll remember the time you showed up when they were falling apart. The way you listened without judging, the way you hugged them like you meant it, the way you stayed when you had every reason to leave. That's love. And that's the only thing that lasts. Final word, choose love every time. The world will try to harden you. It will give you every reason to shut down, to keep your heart guarded, to only love when it's safe. But you were made for more. You were made to love with open hands, open eyes, and a heart that refuses to give up even when the world does. Because love isn't the weak option. It's the most powerful decision you'll ever make. So choose it. Choose love when it's hard. Choose love when it's risky. Choose love when you don't feel like it. Because the life you want, it begins where love begins. And the person you want to become, they're already inside you, just waiting for you to love them into existence. There's something we all believe, even if we won't admit it. We think we have time. Time to start that dream. Time to mend that relationship. Time to finally become the person we were meant to be. So we wait. We wait for the right day, the right mindset, the right moment, as if clarity arrives in calendars or confidence shows up like Amazon Prime. But I need you to hear this. The life you want, it's not waiting forever. There's no permission slip coming. No one is going to tap you on the shoulder and say, you're ready now, because you've always been ready. You've just been convinced to forget. You weren't born to wait. Think about it. Do you really think you were born just to pay bills, scroll timelines, numb yourself with noise, and die quietly? Do you believe the universe, God, whatever you call it, poured breath into your lungs, gave you a soul, and wrote one-of-a-kind dreams into your DNA just so you could play small? No. You were born to shake the ground when you walk, to carry light in dark places, to live with such fire that mediocrity burns in your presence. But the world teaches you to forget. They hand you scripts. Go to school, get a job, be polite, don't ask questions, don't dream too big, don't fail, don't speak up, don't want more. And so most people become strangers to their own soul. They bury their gifts in convenience. They trade purpose for predictability. They choose comfort and call it peace. But deep down, you know better. That restless ache in your chest, that whisper in the back of your mind, that fire you keep trying to smother, that's your potential screaming. The pain of wasting your life, no one talks about this enough. But you know what really hurts? Waking up one day realizing you didn't even try, that you spent years in jobs you hated, relationships that drained you, habits that dulled your mind, excuses that sounded smart at the time. You want to talk about regret? It's not failure. Regret is not starting. It's looking back and realizing you chose fear over freedom. You chose what if it goes wrong over what if this changes everything. You chose someday over now, and someday is the most dangerous word in the human language, because someday becomes weeks, then months, then years, then suddenly you're 40, then 60, and all the dreams you were saving for later, they died waiting for you. You don't need more time, you need more courage. The life you want isn't out of reach. It's just on the other side of action. You don't need another online course. You don't need a new podcast or a vision board or 10 more books. You need to move, even if it's messy, even if it's terrifying, even if you're not 100% sure it's right. Clarity comes from movement, not waiting. And courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward in spite of it. You want to be brave? Then take the next step, not the final step, not the perfect one, just the next one. There's a clock ticking, but it's not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. You don't know how long you have. You don't know how many mornings are left in your life. So stop living like you're guaranteed another one. Stop treating time like it's infinite. Stop pretending your dreams can survive on leftovers. Stop giving your energy to things that don't grow your soul. This is your life, not a rehearsal, not a warm-up. And every second you hesitate is a second you never get back. You are not too late. Maybe you're thinking, but I've wasted so much time. Listen to me, you are not behind. The person who starts at 15 and fails for 10 years is no more ahead than the person who starts at 40 and succeeds in 2. Life is not a race. Purpose is not linear. Timing is divine, not dictated. You didn't miss your moment. You are the moment. You didn't waste your past, it prepared you. Every setback taught you something. Every heartbreak deepened you. Every delay refined you. Now it's time to use it. Don't just exist live. Existing is waking up, going through the motions, numbing yourself, and calling that life. Living is something else. Living is falling in love with your breath. It's waking up with urgency, with intention. It's knowing your presence is a gift and treating every moment like it matters. Living is speaking your truth even when your voice shakes. It's writing the book, singing the song, starting the business, taking the leap, not because it's safe, but because it's yours. Living is understanding that your scars are proof you've been in the ring, that your fear is a compass, not a stop sign, that your heart is not here to be protected, it's here to be used. Don't just make a living. Make a life. The final door. There will come a day when you reach the edge, when you take your last breath, when your name is spoken in past tense, when you're just a memory in the minds of the people who loved you. And on that day, you won't care how many likes you got. You won't care about your mistakes or your bank account or what strangers thought of you. You'll ask yourself one question. Did I live fully? Did I leave it all on the table? Did I love people well? Did I become everything I could have been? And the answer to that question is being written right now in the choices you make, in the courage you show, in the dreams you refuse to let die. You don't get to control how long you live, but you get to control how deeply. So what will you do with this one life? Will you let fear write your story? Will you let time slip through your fingers like sand? Or will you rise? Will you finally answer the call that's been echoing in your soul for years? Will you show the world what it looks like to live awake, on fire, fully alive? Because this is the time, not next year, not when things are easier, not when you feel ready. Now, this moment, right here, the life you want is not waiting forever. It's standing in front of you, hand extended, saying, are you coming or not? And if this message stirred something in you, if it reminded you of who you are and why you're here, then don't let it end here. Join a tribe of souls who are done waiting, done doubting, done dimming their light. Subscribe to this channel because this isn't just motivation. It's transformation. It's a movement of people choosing to live fully, love deeply, and rise fiercely. Your time is now. The life you want won't wait forever, and neither should you